Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel Universal English with Happy. My name is Happy Verma and I'm your English language coach. Today's topic is also one of the important topics in spoken English. But yes, it's about all four. And what all those four language skills are. Number 1, listening. Number 2, speaking. Number 3, reading. And number 4, writing. So we are going to start now. First of all, let's take a quick recap of the journey. So the day 2 gave you the pieces, words and sounds. Day 3 gave you the structure, sentences and tenses. Today, we zoom out and talk about the four skills that actually put all of that to use. As I told you all four, what are those? Listening, speaking, reading and writing. Correct. This video is a little different from the last two. Today is less about new grammar to memorize and more about technique and daily practice habits. Some of the most useful advice in this entire course is coming up. So even though it feels lighter than tense charts and world classes, don't tune out. This is the stuff that actually moves the needle on how fast you improve. So, we are going to take a look at three things today, and we are going deep on each one. How to train your ear and active listening techniques that actually work. Now, just listen to more English. As vague advice, how to build real speaking confidence through specific fluency drills and shadowing practice, and how reading and writing, two skills that feel completely separate from speaking, actually quietly train your speaking in the background if you use them right way. That's right. It's all about the right way. And why all four skills work together. Have you ever thought of it? Correct. So here is the mindset shift for today. These four skills aren't separate boxes on a syllabus, tested separately, developed separately. They feed each other constantly in a loop. The more you listen, the more natural patterns you absorb for speaking. The more you read, the more sentence structure becomes familiar to your ear before you ever try to say them. Correct. This is it. Absolutely. Writing slows language down enough for you to notice details that fly past you completely in live conversation. And speaking is where all three of the others get tested in real time. Think of it like learning to cook by only ever reading recipes, never tasting food, never cooking anything yourself. You would accumulate knowledge, but it would stay disconnected from the actual skill. Language is the same. Listening without speaking is like reading recipes without cooking. Speaking without listening is like cooking without ever tasting good food. So you don't know what you are aiming for. That's right. You need the full loop, and today is about strengthening every part of it. Now, just the parts that feel most obviously connected to speaking a language. That's genuinely how this works. Progress is one skill, quietly shows up in another a few weeks later, which is part of why consistency matters more than any single technique. Let's start with listening because it's the input every other skill depends on. You can't speak patterns you have never heard, and you can't develop natural rhythm without training your ear on real speech first. Most learners listen passively, audio plays in the background, or they watch a show with half their attention elsewhere, and they call that listening practice. It helps a little, but it's nowhere near as effective as active listening. Listening with a specific job to do, the same way reading a textbook chapter with a purpose, sticks better than skimming it while distracted. There are techniques. Let's go with the flow. Let's go through the technique one first. I'm going to give you something. Listen for gist, then listen for detail. Play a short clip twice. First, listen. Don't worry about every word. Just answer what is this generally about. Second, listen. Now hunt for specific details like names, numbers, opinions, reasons, etc. Separating these two jobs stops you from freezing up trying to catch everything at once. which is exactly what happens when learners attempt full comprehension on a single pass. For example, with a short news clip, first listen, you might only catch something about a new policy. Second listen, you catch which country, which policy specifically, and whether the tone was positive or critical. Two passes, two different jobs, far less overwhelming than trying to catch everything simultaneously. This mirrors exactly how native speakers process unfamiliar or complex speech too. Nobody catches everything on the first pass, even in their own language, especially with technical or fast content. Now let's come to the technique to predict before you listen. Before playing anything, for example, a video title, a conversation topic, even just walking into a meeting, pause and guess what vocabulary and phrases you expect to hear. This primes your brain to recognize words faster when they actually arrive. The same way, knowing a movie's genre helps you follow the plot faster because your brain has preloaded relevant expectations. If a video is titled How to Make Coffee at Home, pause first and predict. Grind, beans, water, filter, taste, machine. When those words actually show up moments later, your brain recognizes them instantly instead of processing them cold, word by word. This technique works because listening comprehension isn't really about hearing every sound clearly. It's about matching incoming sound to patterns your brain already exists. The more relevant expectations you load in advance, the faster that matching happens. Let's move to technique 3. Shadow listen without subtitles and with. Let me repeat. Shadow listen without subtitles, then with, or vice versa. Watch a short clip with subtitles once, then watch the exact same clip again with subtitles off. You will be shocked how much more you catch the second time because your brain already has the map from the first pass. It knows roughly what's coming and can fill in gaps far more easily. This is one of the fastest ways to train your ear on real, fast native speech because it bridges the gap between I can read it and I can hear it gradually instead of demanding you do both at once from a cold start. Once a clip feels easy this way, move to a new one. Don't keep rewatching the same clip forever, since the goal is training your ear generally, not memorizing one specific recording. Now let's move to technique 4. Listen for signal words. Certain words signal exactly what kind of information is coming next, and training yourself to catch these can dramatically improve real time comprehension, even when you miss individual words around them. However, or but, signals a contrast is coming because or since signals a reason. First, next, finally, signal a sequence or list. For example, signals a specific illustration of a bigger point that was just made. If you catch however in a sentence and miss the next three words, you still know structurally that whatever comes next contradicts or complicates what was just said. That's genuinely useful information even without gaps in the details. Training your ear to catch these signal words first before worrying about catching everything gives you a skeleton to hang the rest of the meaning on. Let's take a look at some common listening mistakes. Rewinding constantly on the first listen, if you pause and rewind, every time you miss a word, you never build tolerance for ambiguity, which is a real skill. Native listening always involves some gaps, even for native speakers. Let a first listen flow through, gaps and all, and clean up details on a second pass instead. Only listening to content that's already easy. If you never listen to anything slightly above your comfort level, your ear stops improving. The same way, lifting weights that are too light stops building strength. Mix in content that's a little challenging alongside your easier confidence building content. Treating subtitles as a permanent crutch instead of a stepping stone. Subtitles are a fantastic tool for the with then without technique. What is it? With then without technique. We just covered. But if you always keep them on, your ear never gets the chance to do the actual work of passing sound without a visual shortcut. Let's go deeper into a real situation, the noisy conversation. Let's ground this in something every learner dreads, a conversation in a noisy place, a cafe or a party, where the worlds blur together even more than usual. This is exactly where signal words and prediction save you. If you already know the general topic, someone's telling a story about their weekend. You are not starting from zero. You are listening for the shape. When did it happen? What went wrong or right? How did it end? You don't need every word, you need the skeleton. And the skeleton is built from exactly the techniques we just covered. Native speakers rely on this constantly too. Nobody catches 100% of words in a loud room, in any language, including their own. So let's do one thing. Let's practice the predicting technique right now. I am about to play a short clip about. Before I play it, take 20 seconds and say out loud three words or phrases you expect to hear. What do you say? Just go through it.
You will hear a receptionist and a visitor talk about booking a conference room. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning. How can I assist you today?
Hi, I'm looking to book a conference room for a meeting next week.
Certainly. How many people will be attending the meeting?
There will be around 15 attendees.
We have a medium-sized conference room that can comfortably accommodate up to 20 people. It's available next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Does that work for you?
Yes, that sounds perfect. What facilities are included?
The room comes with a projector, Wi-Fi, and refreshments. We can also arrange for a catering service if needed.
That would be great. I'd like to add the catering service as well.
Now you have some time to review your answers.
Let's move to the next part of our video, speaking. And speaking is all about building confidence. Confidence in speaking doesn't come from knowing more grammar, and it doesn't come from more vocabulary either. Past a certain baseline, it comes from repetition under low pressure until your mouth doesn't need your brain's explicit permission for every single sentence. Here's the core problem most learners actually have. They know far more English than they can access quickly under pressure. That gap between known and accessible in real time is what these next techniques are designed to close. Let's do one thing. Let's do fluency drill. The 60-second talk. What you have to do is just pick any simple topic. Your weekend, your job, your favorite food, your commute, or anything else. Talk about it out loud without stopping for 60 seconds. Don't worry about mistakes. The only rule is don't stop. This trains your brain to keep moving forward instead of freezing at the first imperfect sentence, which is honestly the single biggest speaking blocker for most learners, more than any actual grammar gap. If you run out of things to say mid sentence, that's fine. Just say and also, or another thing is, or even repeat your last point in slightly different words and keep going. The goal isn't a polished speech, it's building the muscle of continuous speech without a panic stop. The moment something feels imperfect, do this daily, even for 1 minute, and the improvement compounds surprisingly fast because you are training a habit, not memorizing content. Let's talk about shadowing practice. Have you ever shadowed someone? Let me tell you something. Shadowing means playing a short native audio clip and speaking along with it in real time, copying rhythm, stress, and intonation as closely you can. Not translating, just mimicking. Like singing along to a song in a language you don't fully know yet. Start with clips under 30 seconds. It will feel clumsy at first. That's completely normal and it fades fast with repetition. A simple way to start is pick a short clip you have already watched a few times so the words are familiar. Play it and speak along at the same time, even quietly under your breath if you are in public place. Do the same 20 to 30-second clip 3 or 4 times in a row. Each repetition, you will notice yourself catching the rhythm a little more naturally, matching the speaker's pace and pitch instead of lagging a beat behind. Shadowing works because it bypasses the slow, conscious, construct a sentence, process entirely. You are not thinking about grammar rules while shadowing. You are directly training the muscle memory of English rhythm. The same way you would learn a dance by copying a instructor's movements rather than reading a manual about footwork. Now, recording yourself, the uncomfortable but powerful technique. Record yourself taking for a minute on any topic, then listen back once. Most people hate this at first. Your own recorded voice always sounds strange to you. Even the very first time I have recorded mine, it was yuck. In any language, that's just a normal quirk of how we perceive our own voice. Push through that discomfort because the information is valuable. You are not listening for a perfect performance. You are listening for one or two specific things. Did you stop and restart a lot? Or did you keep moving forward? Did your sentences trail off unfinished? This kind of self feedback is something almost no learner does regularly. And it's remarkably effective precisely because it's uncomfortable enough that most people skip it. Common speaking confidence mistakes. This is also very important. Waiting to speak until you feel ready. That day doesn't reliably arrive on its own. Confidence is built by speaking imperfectly and surviving it repeatedly, not by reaching some finish line or preparation first. Apologizing excessively for your accent or mistakes mid conversation. A quick self correction is fine and natural. Repeatedly apologizing draws more attention to imperfection than the imperfection itself ever would, and it undermines the confidence you are trying to build. Practicing only in your head, silently. Silent rehearsals feels productive, but it doesn't train your mouth. You breathe and your breath control or your real time rhythm, the way speaking out loud does, even alone, even to an empty room. The physical act of speaking out loud is doing something silent. Rehearsal simply can't replicate. Now, the real situation is small talks under pressure. Let's ground this in a scenario. Nearly every learner feels stressful and finds it stressful. Small talk with a stranger at a work event or waiting in line. The instinct is to mentally translate a perfect sentence before speaking, which causes a long, awkward pause. The 60-second talk habit trains the opposite instinct. Start talking with an imperfect sentence and let it improve as you go, rather than waiting for a perfect one that delays you into silence. So, mm, how do you know the host? Is a completely normal one. Fluent sounding, real sentence, hesitation markers and all. Native speakers use fillers words constantly, and they are not a sign of weak English. They are a sign of real time, unscripted speech, which is exactly what you are training for. Let's do the second round of practice pause. Are you all ready? So now it's your turn. Pick a simple topic, what you had for breakfast, your plans for this weekend, anything at all. Talk out loud for 60 seconds straight. Don't stop, even if you make a mistake. Alright? So let's do it. Silence, right? That's totally fine because it's your time to think about. Should we start? Okay. However, that felt smooth or a little messy. You just did the single most valuable speaking exercise in this entire course. Do this daily, even for just 1 minute, and you will notice a real difference within 2 weeks. This exercise alone, done constantly, consistently, outperforms hours of passive grammar review for actual spoken English. Did you get my point or not? Let's move on to the further topics that we have decided to go through. Reading and writing. So what reading and writing are for? These are for supporting. Reading and writing are silent, but they are not disconnected from speaking. They are training tools for it. And this section is where most spoken English courses drop the ball completely, treating reading and writing as unrelated academic subjects instead of what they actually are: rehearsal for speech. Reading out loud, not just silently. Reading exposes you to sentence patterns and vocabulary in context at your own pace without the pressure of a live conversation. But silent reading alone only trains your eyes and your comprehension. It doesn't train your mouth. The trick is reading out loud sometimes, not just silently. Even a paragraph a day, read aloud, transfers those patterns from your eyes directly to your mouth, building the physical muscle memory of pronunciation and rhythm alongside the mental pattern recognition. Pick something slightly easier than your comfort level for this exercise specifically. The goal here is fluent, confident delivery at a natural pace, not painstakingly decoding difficult vocabulary word by word. Save the harder material for silent reading, where struggling through unfamiliar words is normal, useful part of learning. Okay? Now it's time for extensive reading versus intensive reading. It helps to know these are two different modes, both useful for different reasons. Extensive reading is reading a lot for enjoyment without stopping to look up every unfamiliar word, a novel, articles on topics you genuinely like. This builds general fluency and exposure to natural sentence rhythm over volume and repetition. Intensive reading is reading a short passage closely, looking up unfamiliar words, noticing grammar structures, really studying it. This builds precision and specific vocabulary. Both matter, and most learners over interest in one or the other. Heavy grammar students tend to overdo intensive reading and rarely read anything just for enjoyment, while casual learners often only do extensive reading and plateau on precision. A healthy mix of both, even a little of each per week, covers both gaps. Writing to rehearse tomorrow's speech. Writing slows language down. When you write a sentence, you have time to notice word order, tense, and word choice in a way real time conversation never allows. Because there is no time pressure and no listener waiting for a response. It's just a simple habit. Write 3 sentences a day about your actual life, then read them out loud. You are rehearsing tomorrow's spoken sentences today, on paper first, in a completely low stakes setting. Over time, sentence patterns you have deliberately written and then spoken out loud start showing up naturally in live conversation because you have already built and tested them once, carefully, before never needing them under pressure. A slightly more advanced version of this: keep a short daily journal, even 3 or 4 sentences about something that actually happened to you that day. This naturally forces you to practice past tense constantly in a real, personally meaningful context, which sticks far better than textbook drills because you actually care about what you are writing. Why this loop works? Here is the mechanism worth understanding. Not just the techniques themselves. Writing forces accuracy because you have time to think. Reading builds pattern recognition because you are absorbing structures at volume. Reading your own writing out loud connects both of those back to actual speech, closing the loop. None of these three replace real conversation practice. Nothing fully replaces that, but together they make your speaking practice far more effective because you are not encountering every pattern for the very first time in a live, high pressure conversational moment. You have already met it on paper first. Let's do one more practice round. It's about write and read aloud. Let's use the writing technique right now. Take 30 seconds and write down on your actual notepad one true sentence about something that happened to you today, then read it out loud twice. Okay, that one sentence, written, then spoken out loud, is the entire reading and writing loop in miniature. Do that daily, even just once a day, and you are quietly training accuracy and rehearsal at the same time in under a minute. Okay? I hope it's a promise from all of you to me. Let's proceed further. Let's name a few mistakes that show up across all four skills, not just one. Okay? Not just a single one. Treating these as four separate homework assignments instead of one connected practice session. A strong daily routine touches more than one. For example, excuse me, shadowing a clip covers both listening and speaking at once. And writing a sentence, then reading it aloud covers writing, reading, excuse me, and speaking together. Chasing perfection before repetition. In every skill we covered today, repetition under imperfect conditions beats waiting for ideal conditions of flawless performance. The 60-second talk, shadowing, reading aloud, all of them work because you do them often and imperfectly, not because you do them once perfectly. Measuring progress day to day instead of week to week. Daily practice, especially with speaking, can feel like it's not working because fluency gains are subtle day to day and much more visible after 2 or 3 weeks of consistency. Don't judge today's 60 seconds talk against yesterday's. Judge this week against last week. Writing without ever reading it back out loud. This is the single most common way learners waste the writing habit. They write 3 sentences, close the notebook, and move on. The reading aloud step is what actually connects the writing back to speech. Skip it, and writing becomes just another silent, disconnected exercise instead of genuine rehearsal. So, before we wrap up, let's answer a few questions that come up constantly at this point. First, how much time should I actually spend on each of these four skills? So, there is no fixed formula, but a reasonable daily target is small and consistent. 10 minutes of active listening, 160-second speaking drill, repeated 3 or 4 times, and mm, 3 written sentences read aloud. That's genuinely under 20 minutes a day, and it touches every skill from today. Okay, so number two, second, do I need a native speaker to practice shadowing or the 60-second talk? No. Both of these work completely alone. Shadowing just needs any audio clip. The 60-second talk just needs you and a timer. That's actually part of why they are so valuable. Zero dependency or finding a conversation partner, which is often the biggest practical barrier learners face. Number three, what if I feel silly talking out loud to myself? Almost. So almost everyone does at first. It fades with repetition. The same way any new habit feels awkward before it feels normal. If it helps, remember that the entire point of this practice is that nobody is listening yet. That's exactly what makes it safe enough to make mistakes in. Fourth, which of these four skills should I prioritize if I am really short on time? Question mark. Speaking and listening in that order. If your main goal is conversational fluency, reading and writing are powerful support tools, but they are multipliers on speaking and listening, not replacements for them. If you only have 5 minutes today, a single 60-second talk repeated a few times beats 20 minutes of silent reading for pure speaking improvement. Let's combine everything from today into one realistic daily routine you could actually follow in 20 minutes. 2 minutes. Predict, then watch a short clip with subtitles. 2 minutes. Watch the same clip again without subtitles. 1 minute. Do the 60-second talk on any topic. 1 minute. Shadow a short clip, repeating it 2 or 3 times. 2 minutes. Write 3 sentences about your day, then read them out loud twice. That's under 10 minutes. Touching, listening, speaking, reading, and writing every single day. It's not about doing more, it's about doing this small loop consistently, because consistency is what turns today's techniques into next month's fluency. On days you have more time, a weekend, for example, you can stretch every piece. A full 3 to 5 minute clip instead of a short 1, 2, or 3 separate 60-second talk on different topics, several shadowing repetitions on a longer clip, and a slightly longer written paragraph instead of just 3 sentences. The structure stays identical, only the volume changes. That's a genuine useful way to think about scaling your practice up or down, depending on the day, without needing a completely different routine. Let's go through a recap and take a look at the key takeaways. Perfect. Okay. Let's lock in today piece by piece. Active listening means listening without a job. Just first, then detail. Predicting ahead. Shadow listening with or without subtitles. And catching signal words like however and because to build a skeleton of meaning even when you miss details. Speaking confidence comes from the 60-second talk, shadowing practice, and occasionally recording yourself. Repetition under low pressure, not more grammar study. Filler words and imperfect starts aren't failures. They are what real unscripted speech actually sounds like in any language. Reading and writing support speaking by slowing language down, enough for patterns to stick, especially when you close the loop by reading your own writing out loud rather than leaving it silent on the page. And one last thing I would like to tell you about, today probably felt lighter than days 2 and 3. Less to memorize, right? More to simply do. That's intentional. But don't mistake simple for unimportant. The 60-second talk and the read aloud writing habit are two of the highest value, lowest effort techniques in this entire course. They don't require textbook, a teacher, or a study session. Just a timer and a few honest minutes a day. If you only take one thing from today, let it be this: consistency in small, imperfect practice beats occasional, perfect practice every time. You don't need a perfect 60-second talk, you need 100 imperfect ones. Now, I am going to give you some homework, and here is your homework. Try today's full mini routine once, predict and watch a clip, do one 60-second talk, shadow a short clip, and write and read aloud one sentence about your day. It's under 10 minutes and it's today's entire lesson in miniature, actually practiced instead of just watched. Now, tomorrow, in section 5, planning your lessons, we shift toward teaching specifically, how to set a clear lesson objective, and how to structure a lesson that allows, follows, and actually follows, whether it's for one student or a full classroom. Now it's time. If today helped public, subscribe and turn on notifications so you will never miss an update. A new video goes up every day. Drop a comment with your 60-second talk topic from today's practice. I read everyone. And thanks for sticking with a very practical one today. Grab your notepad, try tonight's mini routine, and I will see you tomorrow for section 5. Sayonara. Have a lovely, lovely day ahead.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं फिल्मोरा है ना।